Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the SH Figuarts Captain America Civil War Black Panther figure. Now this one was an exclusive and it came in at a much higher price point than your average SH Figuarts figure, so we're gonna have to consider that while we're reviewing this guy. But I have to say, I like a lot of things about this guy a whole bunch, and there are a few things about this guy that are really, really bad. So I guess we might as well just get into it. So let's go ahead and get it off the stand and take a closer look. This guy stands just about 16.5 centimeters, which makes him just shy of 6.5 inches. He does seem kind of large, but I guess he's not that much larger than the other ones. He's pretty well scaled, I suppose. So that's a good thing. Now, it's worth noting that in this particular version of Black Panther, he's a very densely muscular guy. He's very agile, very acrobatic, but he has a lot of dense, strong, functional muscle. That's what we saw in the movie, and the figure does a pretty good job of portraying that, at least in the upper body. Looks very nice. There are some issues, we'll get into that, but I like the sculpt work on this guy a whole bunch. He does have that very strong look. Now, maybe you guys don't know exactly what I'm talking about. I don't know. There are the type of muscles that just look good, and then there are the type of muscles that look like they could function, and this guy has that dense look to him, so that's really cool. I love the sculpted details on this thing. The texturing throughout the suit is fantastic. They added little silver bits here and there, and the different finishes give it a really nice look. I'm very, very pleased with that. The head is a good example. It's very nice. My hand's a little shaky because I haven't been sleeping, but if I use two hands, you'll be able to see it. It looks very, very good. So, like I said, there are a lot of things about this guy that I really like. I like him a whole bunch. Before we get into it anymore, though, let's talk accessories. We only have some interchangeable hands. We have the two fist hands that come on him in the package, two loose hands, and then two kind of cat attack hands. That's it. Very, very minimal. Especially given that he was an exclusive, it would have been nice that they included at least a set of hands with the claws out. They didn't do that. That's a bummer. They didn't include an alternate head. That's a bummer. Those are things that should have been definitely included, especially since, like I said, higher price point, also almost no paint on this guy. Now, I know that's how it's supposed to be, but that means they didn't have to spend money on it. We should have gotten more accessories. Hands down, unquestionable, not good that we got just a couple of interchangeable hands. So let's go ahead and get into the figure and see if it does warrant that purchase. So as far as articulation goes for the head, we have really good range. I believe it's just a double ball peg for the head to the neck and another ball peg for the neck. It doesn't feel like there's a hinge involved anywhere. You pretty much have free reign over that. So that's really good. You can move the head exceptionally well. And even when you make him look all the way up, there's no terrible gapping, which is something we've had problems with before with SH Figuarts, primarily with Iron Man figures. They seem to have figured that out, and now we've got really good head articulation on Black Panther here, so I'm very happy about that. You're going to need that for a figure of a character who's supposed to be very nimble and very agile, so that's good. For the shoulders, we have a really nice butterfly joint that brings the arm all the way out. Sure, it does get a little funny looking in the back, but that's pretty much how butterfly joints work. It is functional though. It brings the arm all the way across, no problem at all, and as long as you're not looking at it directly from the back, it's going to look just fine. Now the arm connects to that on a ball peg, so it will move around freely on there. Then we have a ball hinge for the shoulder itself, which does allow the arm to come out completely horizontally to the side. That's very nice. We should have a bicep swivel of that ball hinge being a peg down into the bicep, and we do, but it's very minimal. Now I think it would have been way nicer for them to include a true bicep swivel. That would have been way better. Now sure, the aesthetic is much better without it, but I think for a character like this, we need to favor the articulation, and it wouldn't have looked bad to have a bicep swivel in there, so that's kind of a bummer. It's not a deal breaker, but it is a bummer. We have a double jointed elbow, which looks really good from the front. I mean, it's not sculpted, but it fits nicely, so that's good. It doesn't give us as much range as I thought. A double jointed elbow should be significantly better at giving you range, and it's just slightly better than 90. So that's definitely a bummer. It's going to be very hard to put him in a cool pose when you can't even get 90 degrees or get much past 90 degrees. That's definitely disappointing. Another thing that's disappointing on this guy is the elbow itself has no sculpt work or anything. It's just raw guts. There's no cap on there at all. They didn't sculpt the plastic itself, and there's no cap, so it just looks very mechanical. And that's not cool. They should have done better. That's all there is to it. It should have been better. For the wrist, we have a nice ball hinge, which is nice. It's definitely good. I like the way that the ball is the same size as the wrist, so it doesn't stand out too much. And then, of course, you're going to get really good range because of that as well. So that's a good thing. For the diaphragm joint, I'm pretty sure it's a ball peg with a hinge. I can't say positively because I haven't pulled it apart because it's too expensive. I don't want to break it. But here's what I'll do. I'll show you, and you'll see that it's really good, so it doesn't matter. It can lean really far forward. I mean, really far forward given the fact that it doesn't break apart. It doesn't look bad in any way, so that's good. It can lean pretty far back, but you do end up with a gap. And actually, you can see in there right now. Maybe you guys can't, but I can. There is a hinge. So there is a hinge and a ball peg. It leans side to side exceptionally well. You do get some definite gapping in there when you do that, but you can probably pose that away. But really good, and then you can rotate it around. So the torso has incredible range. For the upper torso, the lower torso, not too bad. We do have play forward and back, a little bit side to side, and a little bit of rotation. So if you put all of that together, he leans over pretty far, leans back pretty far, and leans side to side pretty far. So you really shouldn't have any problems. That's very good. And now we start to get into some problems in terms of articulation. The hips, as you can see, they're very angular right here, which means bringing the leg forward is definitely going to be problematic, and it is. When you bring it forward, it goes far, but it kicks the leg out at an angle, and you can't rectify that with the thigh swivel. The thigh swivel is very minuscule, and since it's so deep into the thigh, this slanted part up here gets in the way. You can really only use it when the leg's not in use. I mean, you can bring it out to the side more, but you can't square it up. So unless you want to put him in like a seated pose like this, it's not going to be the most helpful. You can't really get him into a good crouching pose. No matter what, that leg is not coming back around. So that's I think that's a bummer. You really should be able to put him in a crouching pose. The best you're going to be able to do is put him in like a stance like that, and that's not a crouch. Can we bring the leg out to the side very far? Not really. I mean, it's not bad. It's definitely acceptable. But for Black Panther, I would expect much more. I feel like they kind of just skipped out on making it functional for the character rather than just, well, let's make it okay and it'll be fine. It's just not great for the hips. It's kind of a bummer. For the knees, let's see. Just better than 90 again. So it's a double jointed knee with just better than 90 degrees for a guy based on a panther who should be hyper agile, hyper athletic, hyper flexible. We're not going to be able to put him in a crouching pose. That's disappointing. For the ankle, it's a ball peg, maybe a double ball peg, but very, very minimal range. No better than like the NECA comic turtles, which not anywhere near the price point of this guy. So I don't get that. Very, very limited. Going forward and back, you get a little bit side to side, but that's it. And we do have a toe hinge, which is minor functionality. That's it. So, I don't know. I love the sculpt for the most part. I love some of the articulation, like the neck and the torso. Very nice. The wrists are good. But a lot of it is just not that good. And a friend of mine said from the waist down, he looks like a girl wearing ill-fitting yoga pants and Ugg boots. And I have to say, he's not entirely wrong. The way they sculpted him to have kind of knock knees and the way they did the boots, kind of the way they curl up, and I don't know, I feel like they dropped the ball in some ways that for the price point isn't acceptable. If this was a $40 Figuarts figure, then sure, it'd be aces, no problem. But I don't know. I mean, I really like parts of it, and other parts really disappoint me. So I think what I'm going to say is it's up to you. You have the information now to make your own decision. If the things that are problems don't bother you, pick it up. If the things that are problems do bother you, then don't pick it up. Now that you know, you can make that call. So there it is, guys. It is available at Big Bad Toy Store. There's a link in the description below. And I think you should probably subscribe if you haven't. There's a subscribe button right there. And right next to it is the notification button. Click that bell. Turn on notifications. That way, YouTube will tell you when I upload a video. And you want that because I have new videos up every single day. We talk about action figures, movies, TV shows, video games, all kinds of fun stuff. So make sure you come back for that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.